So you've been trying to take care of yourself, but you're still not feeling right. This is Sanando Juntos, Healing Together with Alma. I'm Dr. Alma, a pharmacist turned functional health coach, and here we look at health through mind, body, and soul with science, cultura, and real life into the mix. So grab your cafecito and let's get into it. Salud. Welcome back to Season 2 of Sanando Juntos, Healing Together with Alma. I am really excited to be here once again. I'm happy to bring you more information about your health. And this season, I'm going to do it a little different because in functional medicine, there are 3 pillars of health. It's going to be the mind, the body, and the spirit. And so we're going to do 2 episodes of each topic and then 1 bonus episode like last time. Today, I actually want to talk about my journey. And the reason I want to do this is because I would like you to know that there are a lot of things that are possible even when you don't think they are. People see me now as a pharmacist transitioning to a functional health coach, but there was a time when I didn't even know about grad school. I didn't even know what a pharmacist was. There are certain things that happen in your life that pivot you in certain directions. And I want to talk about all of that because I want to see if it resonates. I want to see if something sparks something in you to know that you can do these things too. That's going to be part of the mindset because it has so much to do with mindset and how you perceive your life versus what others tell you about it. So let's begin. Today, I actually want to go into detail about several things and circumstances in my life that I overcame to be where I'm at today. I'm hoping will resonate with you. So, as some of you know, I'm Mexican. I came to the United States in my mother's arms. We came here to Illinois because there was family already here. And it's easier for people to settle when they have someone they know and could help them find a job and things like that. So my parents settled in an area close to Chicago in the suburbs. Obviously, as a baby, I don't remember much, but my parents tell me that their living situation was pretty bad. They would live in a small room, and then the person who they lived with would take advantage of them. They would take their money and really not leave them a lot left over for food after they've worked so hard. I think that was maybe just an ongoing theme as they were able to make more income and get out of these situations that were difficult. And they still found that they had to keep working very long hours to sustain, not even lifestyle, right? Survival is where a lot of us immigrants know that our parents, their lot in life was survival. As far as my childhood, I felt like my parents were working all the time. I didn't see them much. I would see them when they came home to sleep, and every once in a while, mom would make us dinner, and then she was off to the next thing. You know, I talk to them now, and of course, that feels like abandonment, but it's also being aware that they felt that that was really necessary in order to feed us, in order to keep a roof over our heads. And maybe it was. I don't know. I wasn't there in that situation, but I do not fault my parents for that. I do not hold any kind of resentment. I just trust that their life was very difficult and they did what they thought was best for us at the time. I'm the eldest, and my parents had 3 kids. It was myself and 2 brothers. And I say had because one of my brothers passed away. It's 13 years now. He's no longer with us. I still have 1 brother. So I was the eldest and I took care of them. I cooked for them. I cleaned the house. And on top of this, I went to school. So eldest daughters can relate. We're like the do-it-all, especially if your parents are always working. You're the one that's really the one that gets to be responsible for a lot of things, including your siblings. And with regards to health, we grew up on Mexican staples. We never had any junk food, whether it was on purpose or not. It was just not something that was on my mom's radar. So we just didn't have it. And I truly believe now that that gave us a really strong foundation for us to grow healthy bodies, because she never introduced that stuff when we were children. And when we were growing up, we always had whole, healthy foods, which people will tell you that Mexican food is not healthy. But the majority of the Mexican food is, especially the staples that mom makes, like frijoles and the proteins and the salsas and everything that goes along with that, all made from whole foods and with a lot of love, I'm sure. And so that's how I grew up. I went through high school the same way, and I was pretty much, the one that was responsible. So I was actually really good at school. I think I liked school a lot. So I did really well in school. I was always getting really good grades and always on the honor roll. And I did take a couple of, they weren't AP back in my day. They were like honors. And I would take honors classes here and there in high school. But after high school, I had no guidance. I didn't know what to do. So you have the people that are going off to college. My parents didn't know about college. No one in my family or circle knew about college. I was the eldest of the kids. I was the first one. No one mentored me to go to college, so I just didn't know. So a lot of people that were within my community, like my friends, they were going to community college. And I'm like, well, I'll go to community college too, because that's what everyone else was doing. So I was signing up for like these random classes, which are really cool, by the way. I learned about ethics. I learned about world religions, which is something that I'll talk about. I don't even know what I was doing in college, really. I didn't know what the point was, and I didn't have like a goal. So around that time, when I was going to community college, I ended up getting pregnant. And yes, it was unplanned. And in my case, it was just like, okay, so now I have to go through with this. And now what? I think a large part of me almost had like a kick in the ass, right? Like that fire under your butt. And you're just like, oh, well, now I'm going to be responsible for this other person. And now what do I do? So I decided that I just needed to kick it in gear. I'm going to have to provide for this child, and I'm going to have to do what I need to do. I wanted her to have a different childhood than mine. I wanted her to have a childhood. That part of me really motivated me to look for something else, because I did not want to live the way that we were living and go on that way for another generation. And I didn't know how to say it then, but in my 20-year-old mind, that's what I was thinking, that I didn't want to live that same life. I decided that I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? I've always been good at school. I've always been good at science and math, and I can do this. I didn't know what, but I knew there was something that I could improve. I knew that people with college degrees got better jobs, got better finances, things like that. And I knew I could do it because I knew that I was good at school. I talked to counselors. I actually was at that point together with my daughter's dad, and he was working at a pharmacy as a technician. I'd ask him a lot of questions about what he was doing. He was telling me about the ins and outs of the pharmacy, and I would ask him some of the like clinical questions about dosing and things that pertain to the actual medicine itself. And he was like, you know what? I just do admin stuff. They're the ones that make all the decisions. They're the ones that go to school for that, and they're the ones that make the big bucks. And I was like, big bucks? Oh, okay. So then I was like, okay, well, let's look into that. Because I knew I've always wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't want to have all of that responsibility. I started looking into like, what is a pharmacist? What do they do? I didn't even know what a pharmacist was. Like, I was 20 years old and I didn't know what a pharmacist was. Like, in a way, that's good because it means I never needed medicine. But in a bad way, I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. The more I started looking into it, the more it became like, yes, this is what I want to do. It is the perfect in between being in the medical field having a good outlook for finances and also not having that responsibility of a medical doctor because of my daughter. I still wanted to be able to be there for her. And going back to that abandonment from my parents, I did not want to do that to my daughter. I figured out asking and looking around and talking to counselors. I asked, how do I get there? A lot of them did help me. A lot of them did give me the path. And I remember when I tested into community college for these classes, they actually asked me, why are you here? Why aren't you at university? And I was like, well, I didn't know I could go to university. Like, I have no idea. But anyway, I finished out my stuff at community college and no regrets because it was much cheaper. I did my prerequisites there and I went ahead and I applied to pharmacy schools. I applied to the University of Wisconsin in Madison on a whim. They were due at midnight. It was like 11:30, something like that, when I was like, I'm going to hit send on this application, and I did it. And they accepted me. And so they accepted me at other schools that are in Chicago, but when I went to visit them, I didn't really like their living situation. This is a shout out to University of Wisconsin-Madison. They actually had family housing for grad students, because grad students tend to be older, they tend to be settled, they tend to have families, and they even had a daycare for the kids. So that was amazing. And I was like, yes, wholehearted, yes, I'm gonna pick up and move to Madison with my child, and I am gonna do this. I didn't get a lot of scholarships or anything like that. I got scholarships for my daughter's care, but I myself didn't have scholarships. I'm not sure about this, and you guys can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but at least for me, and this was years ago, I was told that once you get enrolled in a grad program, it's really hard to get help because they know that you're going to be making money and they know that you're going to be able to repay. So then they don't help you out a lot, but they'll give you loans so that you can do it. And so I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and pharmacy school was really hard. I actually ended up abandoning my daughter more than I wanted to, and her dad moved to Madison with me. We were married. He helped me with her and things like that, but I still did not see her as often as I wanted to. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice these few years of spending the time with her so that in the future, not only will we have a better outlook, but I will have more time, because my job is now going to be with the mind and not spending hours like my parents did away from the home. Pharmacy school came and went, and as a caveat, I was married at the time to her dad. That marriage was really difficult. It was really hard on me, and I struggle with this because I don't want to badmouth anybody, but that was not a good relationship for me. It was not supportive or conducive to my goals and what I wanted to do, and it almost seemed like my success was a damper on the marriage, and it was not going well. Even during pharmacy school, I felt wholly unsupported, and so I went through pharmacy school carrying this, being a mom, and I still managed to graduate on time. So when I tell you that this is possible, I fully believe that this is possible. You do have to hustle. It is definitely like hustle season, and it's definitely like hard, but it's doable. The years are going to pass. Those 4 years that I was in pharmacy school, I could have done nothing. I could have given up. I could have quit. I could have moved back with my tail between my legs, but I didn't. I powered through, and for bad or good, it was done. And so there was a bad thing that came out of it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. When I graduated pharmacy school, I ended up working in this in the retail side of it. So retail is going to be like your CVS, Rite Aid, Walmart, Walgreens, those that are really fast-paced, stressful jobs. I was really stressed. It was really hard, and I did not enjoy being a pharmacist there because I went to pharmacy school to help people. I went to pharmacy school to improve people's health outcomes. And by being in that environment, I really just felt like a robot, just checking prescriptions and never really being able to talk to anybody about their medicines. No one really cared, too, which was another thing. A lot of people didn't want to talk to the pharmacist. So it was just kind of like, como se dicen, like those conveyor belts. You just check prescriptions and you take a phone call, but it was a lot of moving parts. At some point, I hit burnout because of everything that I went through. And I don't know if my childhood may have played a part, maybe, because sometimes the things in childhood carry on through your adulthood, things that you don't deal with, things that you don't really work through, and then they show up in your relationships or they show up in the way that you handle things. But my point being is that at some point I got to burnout. And this is a part where I tell you that I went to a functional medicine doctor because the other doctors didn't know how to help me. They were all just saying that I was stressed, which they weren't wrong, but they didn't realize how badly I was stressed and for how long and how that was manifesting. So when I hit burnout, when I tell you that my body gave up, it gave up. Like I had to peel myself out of bed in the morning. And I've always exercised and I couldn't even run a mile. And to me, that was just like a death sentence because it was something that I really enjoyed doing. And then I couldn't do it anymore. My hair was falling out. And that was kind of like a little bit of a hit to my vanity because I've always had a lot of hair. And it's always been really full and it's just part of my identity. And so I went to the functional medicine doctor and she helped me. She figured out that I was in burnout and she did something so simple as to test my cortisol, test my hormones too, because if the cortisol is out of whack, everything else is out of whack. And then I had a lot of gut lining issues. And this is probably from the stress mostly because the stress that I carried throughout getting into pharmacy school and then also going through pharmacy school. And then on top of that, dealing with this marriage, being a mom. And then after getting out, I also had to deal with that high stress job and it had crazy hours and that all kind of accumulated. And I carry my stress in my gut. We're all different. So we don't always carry the stress in the same place. And my gut lining was so affected that it was causing a lot of inflammation all over my body. So that was something that the functional doctor made me realize that I had mounted so much stress and that I had to deal with a lot of the emotions that I never dealt with because I was just too busy. So that was part of my protocol is, also a nutrition protocol that she put together for me, supplement protocol. I'm not going to lie to you. It was hard going through that because she also made me do an elimination diet, which really takes out a lot of things. And that way you can find out what it is that's really messing with you. And you really figure that out only by taking out stuff and then reintroducing it. And so I learned a lot about my body during that phase. I learned, first of all, that I could do it. That was such a valuable experience, but it was hard. So when you think about going through a health journey, I don't want to lie to you. It is difficult, but it is so worth it. You learn so much. And on top of that, I'm doing things that I want to. Like I don't want to eat that cookie. I don't want to have that fast food. I don't want to partake in that pizza. Sometimes I do, right? But most of the time I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm good. And part of that is because I went through a whole ass elimination diet, so I could do anything. At this point, I learned that I could heal. Like, can you imagine if I listened to the doctors and I didn't do anything? If they were like, maybe you're just stressed. What if I just would have let that be that? I don't know where I would be today. I honestly don't. I question and I think about that all the time. So I think my lucky stars that I had that guidance, that universe hinting at me like there's these other avenues, and then me trusting that I could pursue these other avenues. In the whole discussion that I just went over with you, it was just these like little glimmers and these little hints throughout life. And so we see the hint of, okay, Now you're gonna have a baby. You gotta get your shit together. All right. It's this little glimmer of, ooh, maybe pharmacy school. And I got sick and like didn't know what to do. And then, in my periphery, I was hearing about these holistic doctors, which weren't really popular back then. And it was like, oh, maybe this person can help you. So there's just these little signs, these little glimmers that come, and you just have to be open to like looking at them and deciding if it feels right for you and to go in that direction. And also, if you're not sure, if you try it, you could always, like, te quitas esa duda, right? That maybe it was good, but maybe it's not. And we can make incorrect choices, but we learn from them, right? After that experience, like I said in the other episode, it really changed my perception of what medicine should be, how it can fall short of something that they don't acknowledge, which is the whole mind, body, spirit component of health. Being trained as a conventional pharmacist, this was never discussed. Never. It was always the parts of the body, cells and the tissues and the kinetics of the drugs and how they work and like everything that's circulating in your body, the organ, the skin, truly the physical body. When I went through this situation with burnout, it was a whole awakening because I realized how much my emotions really messed with my body when I didn't process them, and how that gets stuck in your body and how it creates a problem. Now, I don't see the body like that anymore. No, I know better. And I've been able to manage that. So what I learned with my functional doctor, I carry with me for a long time, and probably will for always, because it's this knowledge that you have to care for your whole body. It's not just the physical stuff. The physical stuff a lot of times tells us what's going on with our body. But I'm going off on a tangent here. And I also forgot to mention, but I did get fired for not getting a specific, vamos a decir, vacuna. And they let me go. And at that time, I was so devastated. And I felt like the rug was pulled out from under me. But it also made me realize that I was just comfortable and I didn't pursue my vision of being a holistic health coach because I was just comfortable with the schedule and the income. And it just really kept me not wanting to pursue this for fear. But it was almost like the universe was like, well, you're not going to have that anymore. And so, yeah, it sucked. At the beginning, it was really hard. And I think about it now, I am able to talk about it without getting upset. But when it happened, it hurt so bad because you just realize how little of importance you are to a big company that you work so hard for 8 years or so, putting your heart and soul into those patients, into making sure that pharmacy runs like clockwork. Like, we are hard workers. Latinos are hard workers. And I put everything into that job. And just like that, they decided that I shouldn't come back the next day without any kind of goodbye to my coworkers or anything. And it really was horrible. I don't even know how to explain it. It was surreal. It was like, am I living in this strange world where these things happen? And I don't know, maybe that's where the world is going now, but it sucks so bad. And again, the pivot, it almost had to happen so that I'm here now, today, talking to you about this stuff and working towards my true calling that I think is what I need to be doing now. I want to get back to what this episode was about because it was about mindset. So now going through my story, my message to you: you may come from circumstances that put you in a position to be able to attain the things that you may think that you cannot obtain. But the thing is that you have to put yourself in the situations or make the move to get there, and the universe will take care of it. I promise that if you take the steps with the intention of what your little heart desires, the universe has got you. And I tell you that because it did it for me. And I'm no one special. I'm just as special as you are. Being born is like 1 in 4 trillion chance or something like that. And that's me and that's you. So universe has got you too. I want you to trust and believe that what you think that you can accomplish, you can. And even though things may not be set up for you the way that it's maybe so easy, look for the glimmers and then follow your heart, your intuition mostly, and then go towards what you want. And maybe if what you want isn't the path, the universe will give you what you need. Sometimes the universe has other plans for you and it's hinting at what you should be doing. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here. I hope that my little rant was able to help you in some way or somehow kind of resonate, and know that getting things accomplished, doing things that you want to do, takes a strong mindset, and it also takes action. And so I really hope that that's something you could find within you to keep going, to keep doing it. And I'd love to hear what you will accomplish in your future, because I'm rooting for you to do the thing, and I'm rooting for you to be healthy. And I love that you're here. So thank you for spending your time with me today. I look forward to the next episode. I alluded to something a little earlier that we are going to talk a little bit about religion. So the next episode is our spirituality episode. I look forward to seeing you then. And let's keep sanando juntos. Always. Take care. Before you go, if any part of this felt familiar, just know that you're not alone. Take what resonated, sit with it, and go from there. And if at some point you're like, okay, I'm ready to actually look at this more closely, you can book a call with me. The link is in the show notes. Or come find me on Instagram. I'm usually there talking about all of this in real time in smaller snippets. Gracias. Thank you for being here. Your time is precious, and I'm grateful you're spending it with me. Cuídate mucho, and remember, we heal juntos siempre. Ciao, ciao, baby. But wait, there's more. The legal stuff. I gotta say it. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace medical care. I'm a pharmacist and a functional health coach, but I'm not your personal healthcare provider. Talk with your physician or qualified healthcare professional before making changes to medications, supplements, or your health routine. Take what resonates, move at your own pace, and make decisions that feel aligned for you.